All right, welcome, folks, to SiouxSports.com, the Monday night edition. We'd like to first off, I'd like to welcome a few sponsors, our new sponsors we have aboard: the Dance Core Inc., Tammy Ovey from Century 21, and the Identity Salon. So thanks, guys, for sponsoring us, and we appreciate your help. I'm Jim Monico with Dom DeLuca. Tony Bonifero will be here soon. Tonight's special guest is Jana Headrick, who's currently playing hockey, hopefully, for the UNB Red Devils coming up in September. Is it the Red Devils still? No, It's the Reds now, right, Jana?
Yeah, they're just Reds now.
Just the Reds, yeah. Sorry, I'm politically incorrect right away. I call them the Red Devils, Dom, so.
That was the old day. We're the Varsity Reds. Come on.
Olden days, yeah. So
if you would ask,
thanks for joining us. What are you up to now? Are you at home? Are you away at school? What's going on with you right now?
I'm at home now. I've been home since April, but I'm heading back to Fredericton within the next couple of weeks just to get back in training in the gym, on the ice, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Jana played hockey here in the Soo. Then she played her last year in North Bay, right, Jana? Yeah, and then she went to U of T. She played 4 years at U of T. Now she's doing her graduate studies at UNB. Last year, of course, there was no real season. We'll talk to Jana about that. And now she's into a couple neat little projects that I thought would be fun to discuss too. Jana, talk about the young days. Everyone knows you're a hockey family. You started out playing with the boys. Talk about that, and then talk about when you went over to the girls and how that went. Just a little quick rundown of your young hockey days.
Yeah, for sure. So I started playing hockey when I was like 3 years old in Deborah. Started out there with Owen, my older brother. And then we moved to the Soo when I was like in Tyke, I believe. And then I played boys all the way until my first year of Adam Minor. I didn't really like playing hockey at all when I was that age. I actually made a deal with my dad when I was like young, like 3-4 years old. He told me that I had to keep playing hockey until I was 10. And then if I didn't like it then I could quit. But by the time I was 10, I was playing on the Wildcats here in the Soo. So clearly haven't quit since. And he probably regrets that. Not regrets it, but cost him a lot of money for sure.
That doesn't sound like a very good deal, Jana. What did you get out of it? You just got to play it? That's it?
Yeah,
that's not a deal.
That's not really a deal.
You can talk to your dad about what a deal is supposed to be. But that just sounds like
the deal is Jana plays until she's at least 10 years old. That's not really a deal. But Jana, sorry.
Oh, no.
I'm going to send him the definition of what a deal is.
The
Webster's dictionary on that.
Yeah.
Hi, Bono.
For sure.
So then you went to Wildcats. I remember you were on the first ever Adam Wildcat team when they first started that year. You guys were the first team to start that. Then you played all the way through. You went to you guys had a little bit of success over the years playing in the provincials. Your second year midget, you guys won a bronze medal in the provincials, which was awesome. I remember being there and watching that. It was a lot of fun. And then your third year midget, you decided to move away to explore opportunities. Talk about that experience a little bit, Jana.
Yeah, so when I was in like third year midget, like 16, I kind of had to make a decision to see if I was going to continue playing hockey and finish my years off as a Wildcat or and continue playing high school sports too, which I think was a big part of my decision.
Yeah.
Or move to North Bay and play for their AA midget team, which actually got to play in the Lower Lakes League in Toronto. So I inevitably ended up picking that just for like the league exposure, getting to play in Southern Ontario every weekend. Even our home games were in Barrie or Huntsville. So I was on the road quite a bit that year and just playing in a whole bunch of different rinks. And I think that really helped me get to where I am today and get to play with the University of Toronto. And I had opportunities to play with other universities too. And I think moving to North Bay really helped me do that.
No, Jana, you were always I watched you play hockey as you were growing up. You were always a really strong player, strong D, really good skater, really hard shot, stuff like that. You were always a top player. Your age group in the Sioux. But before you left to go to North Bay, you were like grade 11 at that time when your last year you played here. You really didn't have a lot of opportunities and a lot of exposure and chances to go elsewhere, right? And that's basically what led you to decide to leave, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just tough playing up in the Sioux for girls. Unfortunately, I'm not a part of the Lower Lakes League in Toronto. So you're not playing like the top teams in the province. Coaches aren't really coming up to Sault Ste. Marie to come and watch you. Really the only exposure you have is the tournaments that you get to go to, which is like helpful that you do get to go to some of the top tournaments here in the Sioux, but it's just not the same level of exposure, I think, that you get playing in the league and like in Toronto area for sure.
Yeah, and that's tough. I mean, there's really nothing the Sioux could do about it. I mean, I know as a manager of a Wildcat teams in the past, I tried to get into the Lower Lakes League. They don't want us. I mean, you even said yourself, North Bay team, you have to travel to Barrie to play or Huntsville. So they definitely do have no interest in coming up to the Sioux. So it's tough. It's not like the people in the Sioux don't do a good job selling their players, or the Sioux doesn't have good players. There's just not enough opportunity. So that leads you to having to leave. Now, Jana, you chose U of T. You said you had other opportunities. Talk about that. How you ended up choosing U of T and what led you to that decision.
Yeah, that was a decision a long time ago now.
Yeah, it is a long time ago now. Yeah.
U of T was one of like the first schools that I actually got to do a campus visit to, and honestly, like I just thought the campus was awesome. Like you're right downtown Toronto. Like it was different and cool too because you're right downtown Toronto. But I think like when you're on campus borders, it doesn't really feel like you're downtown. Like when you're on campus versus when you're just on the streets of Toronto walking and down at like Dundas Square, say.
Yeah.
So I think it was just like a really cool atmosphere in that rink. And on the campus, the rink at U of T is like a super old like barn. So you can tell like there's a lot of history in it. And
who was the coach at U of T, Jana, while you were there?
Vicky Senahara. So she's an Olympian too. And at the time, my first year, Jana Headrick was also the assistant coach. So like obviously can't beat having two Olympians being your coaches.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's world-class talent. Great for you to have that experience, Jana. That's for sure.
And Jana, talk about your 4 years at U of T. You guys ended up being pretty successful before you were gone there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so my first couple of years in the league, we were kind of just like a middle pack of like team. We would beat some good teams, but then really struggle against some of the weaker ones. So I think in my first year, we ended up losing in the second round of playoffs. And in my second season, we didn't even make it past the first round. And it was kind of an interesting like dynamic going into my third year. We only lost 2 players. And we brought in like 7 girls. So going into the third year, we started off the year pretty rocky, I'd say too. And then after Christmas, we came back and we had like an 8 or 9 game win streak, which is like huge playing in the OUA when you only play 24 games. So led us right into playoffs, and we ended up like upsetting everyone. So at Christmas time in that third year, we were sitting at 9th place. So we weren't even in playoffs. And then we ended up making our way up to 3rd or 4th, I think. And then we had like 2 best of 3 series that went to 3 games, even into overtime, I think. And then that final game we played Guelph, who has been like a dominant team in the league for the past 4 or 5 years, like ever since I've been in the OUA. And unfortunately, we ended up losing that final game to Guelph in the OUA finals in my 3rd year. But because the top 2 teams from the league get to go to nationals, we went to PEI for the women's nationals. And then that was like definitely a super cool experience. And it was awesome for me because Owen lived there.
Yeah.
So it was nice to have like everybody there watching me play at nationals. Nationals, we had like a tough draw. So we ended up playing the University of Alberta our first game, and they're ranked first in the U Sports for almost the entire year. So we lost that game 2-1, I think, but it was a super close game, and I think we definitely could have beat them. So we lost to them, and then we ended up playing St. Thomas in the second game of that tournament. And St. Thomas had won the AUS division, and we ended up beating St. Thomas to allow us to go to get to Sunday to play for 5th or 6th. And unfortunately, we lost to the University of Manitoba, who had won the tournament the year before. So, I mean, losing to the defending national champs was not that bad of
It was
a.
okay, right?
Yeah.
That's a great
Especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for a team that wasn't even supposed to be there, that nobody really thought would be there.
Yeah.
And then, so my 4th year, we weren't really sure what was going to happen. We lost 8 players from the year before, and some of like our top 2 lines were almost gone. So we weren't really sure how that year was going to shape up. Like, we kind of thought that we were going to be good, but we weren't really sure. Like, losing 8 veterans that have been consistently in the lineup for the past 3-4 years is tough. But we ended up starting off the season pretty strong, and we were actually like 1st and 2nd in the league almost throughout the whole duration of that 4th year, and inevitably like won the whole league in March before, and we beat York in the final. So that game was pretty exciting. It was a packed arena, which I thought was awesome to play in, and it was like nice to see everybody come out, and it was wild. And then we went to PEI, but everything got shut down, unfortunately.
Yeah. So you won the OUAs and didn't get a chance to compete again in the provincial. So that's a pretty good run, though. So then you decide that you're going to continue your studies. You're going to go get your master's. Did you look around a lot for different schools, or was UNB an automatic, or how did that process go, Jana?
Yeah, so I had really like no idea what I was going to be doing in the upcoming fall. I was kind of just focused on hockey at that point. Things were heating up pretty quick, and then just trying to finish all my courses so I could graduate on time. I ended up applying to UNB and Lakehead for public health. But unfortunately, Lakehead doesn't have a women's hockey program. So that kind of left me with UNB in doing my Master's of Arts in Sports and Recreation Studies. And it also allowed me to use my last year of eligibility, which ended up turning into 2 years since I didn't use eligibility last year.
Yeah. And it's a 2-year program anyway, right? So in a way, it's okay that you lost the 1 year because you get to play this year, hopefully, and then that's good. So Jan, you have a degree in kinesiology now, and you're doing your master's. That's pretty impressive about juggling all that and playing hockey at the same time. Now, I know you've been, I call them neat little projects without really kind of selling them short. I know that I read a couple articles about you lately, and I saw the one that says Headrick joins First Nations discussion. I read the article. Jana, do you want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, I was contacted by our athletic director asking if I would take part in this Indigenous youth sports panel. So basically next week they have 5 U Sport current athletes or alumni, one from each of the conferences. So I'm the AUS representative. And so we're just on this to basically just like use U Sport's national platform and create awareness for Indigenous issues, share our experiences within the league and sport, share like the success stories of these Indigenous athletes in playing and competing all across U Sports, and just creating a connection between all of these athletes and just having a conversation.
That's pretty awesome. Now you've done a couple other things too, right, Jana? You've been involved in a few other things with the Indigenous sports community, right? Can you talk about that a little
Yes. Yeah, sure. So I'm actually an ambassador for Hockey Indigenous, and it's a non-for-profit organization that's run out of a reserve in Northern Ontario. And with this, he just has us to do like a lot of like little projects on the sides, and then hopefully he's hoping to get some hockey camps in some First Nations up and running, and then depending on the timing and the location, hopefully that we can take part in these camps and give back a little bit. So it's just like an ambassadorship and giving like speeches here and there when needed, just helping on creating awareness for the brand and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's incredible.
No, Jana, at this time, there's there's lots going on with the schools and all this terrible stuff. And I asked you a little bit before we came on air. Have you incurred a lot of racial stuff over your years playing hockey, or not really? Or
no, not really. Like, thankfully,
yeah,
I've never really had to be put in that kind of situation.
Yeah, you could take care of yourself anyways if you had to. So
yeah, for sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
Jana, you're the toughest in the family, then? Is that what you're saying? I love it. I love it.
Close. She's pretty close.
That's
not.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Knock would have backed you up anyways, Jana. So.
Oh yeah, Knock back her up. That's right.
Yeah.
Jana.
I know Dom has a bunch of questions. He's really excited about the UNB aspect. So I know he's got a couple of questions. So I'll let him start asking.
Well, yeah, I am excited. I have a few questions. I don't have that many, but I do have a few questions. Jana, with last season, were you in Fredericton last year at all, or so you were? Okay, so you spent the majority of your time there, and it was just online, I would assume? Your
yeah,
study?
So we got to campus in early September, and then we all had to quarantine for 2 weeks before we could get together. And at the time that we got to campus, it was just like on the ice in workout groups, limited to 8 people at a time. So we did that for probably till October. And then in October, we were allowed to have full practices. It was still like non-contact, a lot of just like skill stuff. But all throughout this time, all of our classes were online, and they ended up staying online first and second semester. And we weren't really sure what our season was going to turn out to be like. In October, the OUA in Canada West, I believe, announced that their seasons were canceled, but AUS pushed back their date to make a decision. So we didn't find out until the last week of November that our season was actually canceled, which was a huge bummer.
Yeah, well, for sure. Spending all that time too and waiting. So it's like a lot, I guess. Like just that whole experience of having to wait or being told that we're gonna try, but it's gonna be delayed again. So yeah, it must have been tough.
Yeah, it was definitely tough, and like you could even see like the frustration like at practice and stuff, and it's like we just want to know if we can play or what. And it was like we'd played some inter squad games, and then like St. Thomas is literally on UNB's campus, and we're like, why can't even like play an exhibition against them in the first half?
Yeah.
And then we got like lucky enough in the second half, in the end of March, we were cleared to play some exhibition games. So we ended up playing 5 or 6, I believe, which is nice, like a huge reward after like months of practicing and just training and getting ready to play.
Oh, that's great. So again, I want everybody to know that you and I are, like I was telling you before, we're like it's brothers and sisters. We're UNB family, and again, my experience there too, Jana, was fantastic. We talked about St. Thomas. I used to run by the St. Thomas campus. I wasn't very well liked by the St. Thomas men's hockey team when I played. So yeah, I used to make a quick scurry by the campus there and head to school. Jana, when you're at UNB, maybe the differences between the U of T campus and the size of the school as compared to UNB, because I always get in trouble with my family. I tell my daughters all the time, I think Fredericton is just a wonderful city, an incredible community, and the campus it's gorgeous too. I just love everything about the feel of that campus. So maybe you can let us know a little bit about that school, maybe as compared to a U of T with a smaller community.
Yeah, like unfortunately, we didn't spend a whole lot of time on campus, but it definitely is super nice and it's beautiful. There's a ton of old buildings and clearly a lot of history there. I thought it was kind of funny because I thought it was kind of like similar to U of T's campus in that way, that there's like definitely a lot of history, like a lot of the older buildings, even like both rinks, like you can tell like there's a lot of history in both of those rinks, which I thought was awesome, but definitely a smaller scale than U of T's campus. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a lot smaller. But again, like I said, it's just a beautiful place. So I was wondering, did you want to maybe take the number 10 when you played? Like that was my number. Maybe you could well, shout out to your buddy Dom DeLuca and the Sioux and go on the number 10. So, no, you know what though, Jen, just to hear that people are out there, because my experience there, when I hear that somebody's there, I get a sense of it makes me happy and proud. There is a lot of pride within that school. I know that the men's program has done a great job as well. So they've been a juggernaut for years. So yeah, it's just cool to know that, again, somebody from Sault Ste. Marie and somebody that we know has taken their game and went there. I wanted to just tell you one little quick, not even a story, but you were talking about getting a chance to see Owen and PEI. And I have to tell you, Janet, it's been a while since I played. There wasn't the Confederation Bridge even when I was playing there. So we used to have to take the ferry to get to PEI. So that tells you that was late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. So we weren't even lucky enough to get on the take the bridge. We were taking the ferries, and it was kind of a new experience in itself. So, but no, it's just nice to know, again, yourself being there and enjoying that experience. Because like I said, it's for me, it was a great time in my life, and to know somebody else is there enjoying it. It's nice to see. So that's great.
Jen, is there anyone else from the Sioux at UNB right now that playing hockey or men or women or no?
No, there's not.
I know with the men's, Patrick Watling was the last. Yeah. I think male that was there, and I know Patrick. He was part of a couple strong teams when he was there as well. But that's the last I know in the men's category, anyways. But now we got Jana representing the women, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, I think Pat left last year, so I just missed him by a year.
Yeah, he was old. He was still old when he was playing there. Yeah.
Yeah, he would. Well, he's a what? Patrick would be. Is he 91 maybe or not?
He's 93. He's 93.
93. Yes. Yeah. That's. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll put him in that age group for sure. Yeah, he's getting up there.
Yeah.
Still young, but getting up there, kind of, sort of.
Yeah. So Bono, you're up if
yeah. No? I got quite a bit. How's it going, Jana? Thanks for doing this today. I'm sorry if I'm a little off my game. I had a little traumatic incident earlier today. I got stung for the first time in my life on my foot by a significantly large wasp, and I'm just trying to cope with the pain that's still there. So if I'm a little off my game, I apologize. But thank you.
I actually feel bad for the wasp, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no kidding. You must be desperate.
Don't wear flip-flops when you're hiking on Whitefish Point. That's all I'll say. Gee, terrible. Rookie mistake. Anyway, so Jen, I got quite a bit I wanted to kind of talk to you about here. So, one thing that we talk about quite a bit is kids who have to leave at a young age, right? It's a pretty difficult decision to leave. I was a little bit late. I'm not sure if you guys covered this or not, Jim. If you did, just say so. But
We talked about it quickly, but go ahead.
yeah,
You're good.
but we talk to a lot of kids, and I think at that age, right? You're a young, you're a teenager, basically, a young adult, and friends are a big deal, and family's a big deal, school's a big deal, and it's really difficult for a lot of kids to be able to kind of leave at that young age. Can you kind of talk about what led to that decision for you, and was it a tough decision for you to make?
Yeah, it was. Well, first, it was definitely a super tough decision. Like I kind of said earlier, it was more of an exposure thing, and it's like unfortunate, but like female hockey just doesn't get the same exposure here as they do, even in Sudbury or North Bay. So like that was definitely a major role as to why I left. Obviously, I would have loved to stay and play my final year with the association that I literally grew up in and continue to play high school sports. But there comes a time you have to make that decision, and I don't regret making it and moving away, because I think it definitely helped get me to where I am today.
Yeah, and was it tough for you to move away? Like when you were actually gone, did you find it difficult being away from your family and friends, or were you able to kind of transition pretty well into that?
Yeah, I think I had a tough month or so. I think my first month that I left. Obviously, coming from a big family, and then I moved into a billet house where it was just my billet parents and me. So it was strange getting used to living in a quiet household. That's for sure. But I was fortunate enough to see my parents every other weekend. As you guys know, I'm sure they're on the road quite a bit. So I met up with them in Toronto or Sudbury or whatever.
We're probably passing each other on the highway, Jana.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm heading here. So.
And that's great. I think it's really important that you share that, because there's a lot of young kids who have a lot of a lot of hesitation about moving away, and it's nice to hear you telling your story a little bit might help encourage others to do it as well. So that's kind of why I asked that. So I got a question here from Mr. Cody Busno. He wanted me to ask you about your experience at the National Aboriginal Hockey Championships and kind of how that went for you, and just talk about that experience.
Yeah, so I played at NAC every year in midget, so from 2014 to 2016. And honestly, it was probably one of my favorite hockey memories, was getting to play in these tournaments. The first one that I played in was in just outside of Montreal. And then the second one, I got to go to Halifax, Nova Scotia. And then the final one was in Mississauga. But I just thought, playing in these tournaments, it was nice to play with other, Indigenous kids who, a lot of them dealing with the same stuff, a lot of them moving away from home, going to play hockey, being one or the only one, if maybe have one other Indigenous person on their team, and just making these connections with them, and growing up with them over those last 3 years. There was a core group of girls that I played with, and I still frequently talk to today. And also, we finished short every year. We are silver medalists every year, and unfortunately, we lost to Team Saskatchewan every year.
Yeah.
So that was tough. But other than that, it's definitely one of my favorite memories and one of my favorite tournaments that I got to play in, still to this day.
And that's funny to hear you say that, because I didn't even prompt you on this, but the message I got from Cody, I'll literally read it to you. He can you ask her about the National Aboriginal Hockey Championships? Her most favorite memorable moment. Saying, basically he knows how much you meant that tournament meant to you, right?
I got a question too, but 1 second. Cody sent me a question to ask you too, Jana.
Oh, okay.
Cody's Jana's aunt, uncle.
Yeah.
Uncle.
Yeah.
Cody said to ask you that if you played high school football in the Soo, what team would you play for?
White Pines.
Yeah. Terrible answer, but
Smart.
anyways, go ahead.
All right. So one thing I didn't really realize until I kind of was like prepping for this was I didn't realize about U of T women's hockey team and the history behind it. The team started up in 1922, one of the first female teams to be in there. And then I was fascinated by the whole story about how when they almost cut the program, I think it was in the early 90s, there was a case that actually went up to the Supreme Court of Canada to keep them in the league. So, that must have been a pretty big deal for you to be part of a program with such a storied history. And can you kind of talk about how you saw the program develop from year one till you were graduated or till you left the school?
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely like an honor to be a part of that, like U of T legacy. As we walk out of our dressing room, we have a jersey from the 1920s hanging up. So it's pretty wild to see that. And then I think the year 2000 that they had an undefeated season and won everything. And one of my assistant coaches was actually a member of that team's. So obviously just playing and knowing all of the history here at U of T was awesome. And just knowing that I am a part of this now was awesome. And every year, we have alumni events where all the old teammates show up from however knows how long, play the game, and then they have a night upstairs and get together and just talk about old memories. And all of my teammates and I always joke that it's going to be us in 10 years, and hopefully it is. But even at my time at U of T, it was nice to see that we were kind of always an underdog in my first couple of years, and then to transition into be a team that nobody wants to play, and a team that ended up winning OUAs and was becoming dominant in that league was definitely awesome and amazing. It is nice to see that those girls that I played with since day one and every game with for the past 4 years, it was nice to be able to do it all together.
Yeah, no question. And you know what, when you were choosing schools and where to go, I'm sure the fact that, getting an education from the University of Toronto was probably high up there, right? And that's a pretty good degree to have. So I'm assuming that factored into your decision a little bit too.
Yeah, for sure. Getting to apply at and go to school and be a student at one of the most prestigious universities in Canada has definitely helped make my decision a little bit easier. And just everything about the school, I think it was just such a rich history, and then that opportunity to play in downtown Toronto, I think all of that factored into my choice playing there.
And then you said I think the coaching staff as well, Jenna. It must be just you're looking at, those are icons in the women's game, really Canadian icons. So to have that experience and to have that knowledge and giving back to you as coaches, that would be just something that would be phenomenal too. So
yeah, for sure. The coaching staff, with Vicky and Jana being ex-Olympians, at our skill ice sessions, we'd have current Olympians coming in if they're in the area, just coming out to skate with us. And obviously not every school has that opportunity, and it was pretty awesome to be able to skate with them.
All right, so we're going to do a little bit of rapid fire here, okay? So if you want to pass a question, feel free to pass, but you can spend as much time on each of these if you want. If you just want to give a one-word answer, you can. If you want to explain, you can. So, the toughest place you've ever played?
Nipissing. It's the arena in North Bay.
Yeah, I need a reason. You got to explain that one. Is it pretty derpy or what?
Well, I played my last year midget in North Bay, so I was pretty familiar with the rink there. And North Bay is a great community, like, to get behind their hockey teams. Like, even when I was in midget for like a girls midget AA game, there'd be a lot of people there, which is awesome to see. And their university and playing the Nipissing women's team is always the same. Like, it was always like a fairly packed rink, and some of the fans got pretty rowdy, and even just like the games themselves, like, it was a pretty rough game between both teams, but they're always the most fun to play in, and probably our biggest rival throughout my 4 years.
Who's the best player you ever played against, in your opinion?
I don't know.
Was there ever a player that you'd be like, oh, great, like, I'm up against so-and-so today, and, you know, she really has our number, or was there just nobody really that ever, you know?
No, there's definitely, like, girls that, like, really stick out.
Yeah.
I'd honestly probably say Maria Domenico. She played in North Bay, and she was, like, really good and shifty forward, but it was always, like, so much fun playing against them. So
I was actually going to mention that name to you, Jana. I remember watching her when you guys were younger. She was always really fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's the best player you've ever played with?
Played with?
Yeah.
Probably Taylor Day. She was. I only ended up playing with her for 1 year in my first year at U of T, because she was a fifth year when I was in my first year. But this girl could just, like, turn it on whenever she wanted. Like, you could watch her for an entire game and be like, why are we talking? Like, why does everybody talk about this girl? And then be like on a PK, and she'd, like, steal the puck, go down, score. Like, she led the league in, like, penalty kill goals, like, every year that she played, and she was, like, consistently an OUA, like, all-star and U Sport all-star.
Did you have a welcome to CIS moment? Like, did you have a moment where it was like, oh wow, like, I can't believe that just happened to me, or, you know, like, I can't believe I'm here? Like, did you ever have a moment like that your first year playing?
Yeah, I think so. I think we would do these school day games against Ryerson. So we'd play them at, like, 11 a.m. 1 year it'd be at U of T, the next year it'd be at Ryerson, and they'd bring in a whole bunch of these kids, and they just, half of them wouldn't even watch the game, but they'd just be, like, screaming consistently the whole time. And because they're at 11 a.m. for some reason, like, they're always, like, super high scoring game, like 6-5, like, just crazy. So I think that's probably one of those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your best hockey memory, or your favorite hockey memory? I know you kind of talked about the tournaments. Thanks for the stinger there, Jay. Really appreciate that. Hurt my feelings, but yeah, like, what's your favorite hockey memory? It can be something from when you were a kid till your last year. You know, do you have, like, a favorite memory that kind of sticks out in your head?
I don't know. There's a couple, but probably from, like, recent years. This is probably not even going to make sense, but my third year when we were in the OUA finals and, like, unfortunately lost, but still got to continue on to nationals. I think just, like, that whole journey of being a team that was so far out of the playoffs and nobody even thought about, to coming up and obviously, like, lost 2-1 or 3-1 in the OUA finals sucked. But just being a part of that process and going to UPEI and experiencing and playing at a national championship, I think will always be one of my favorite ones.
All right, so if there's a Headrick's Olympics, and the competitors are Nate, Owen, Evan, Maya, and you, who wins? Who wins the gold? Who wins the silver? And who wins the bronze? I'll put you on the spot.
What are the events? I think it depends.
We'll call it just the regular track and field events. So the track and field events.
don't know. I hate to say it, but I think Owen would win.
Oh, okay.
Probably Evan.
Yeah, Evan's
Next.
fast.
Yeah, he
Evan's
is fast.
and he's like,
Fast.
he can't stand losing, so we would just kind of give it to him if he lost and just make him win. And then third, I don't know.
Well, you got to put yourself at least third.
I think so.
I
think I could beat out Maya and Nate.
When we interview your siblings again, we'll ask them the same question and see where they put themselves. So
Yeah.
I have a feeling they might put you up a little higher. And
Evan's the only one that's fast, though. You guys are not. He's the only one that's a fast runner, is Evan, I think. Eh? Owen was never really super fast. You guys are all good athletes, but he's got the speed.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And final question: you're home for the summer, and the whole Headrick family sitting around the table, and you guys have to order pizza from Sault Ste. From anywhere in the Sault. Where are they ordering pizza from?
Oh, I don't know. This is a tough one. Probably our classic here. If mom and dad don't want to cook and we're ordering in pizza and wings, it's from Sandro's.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Call.
Yeah,
That's a good.
Underrated. Very underrated.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. That's all I have. I'm not sure if the other guys have anything, but every time you or your siblings come on, you guys are always extremely well spoken and you're very candid with us, and we really appreciate it. And I think you kind of telling your story and talking about your journey will really help other young women in your situation. And I really do appreciate you doing this. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Jana, I gotta get a couple of questions in here, like light-hearted stuff and some fun stuff with the Headrick family. So I'm thinking of all you guys playing over the years. When's the last time you guys actually maybe got a chance to sit down and have a meal together during a hockey season growing up? Was there ever a chance you got to actually sit around? I couldn't even imagine. So
No.
did it ever happen? Now, the second thing, did you have more than one fridge? You got the four boys and the girls, so you had more than one fridge, guaranteed. And that would be funny. Did the washer and dryer ever stop in that house? Ever? I couldn't imagine. Every time I think of your family and athletes and everybody playing hockey, I'm saying they must have went through washers and dryers and fridges, and it must have been. And you must have an area where you all hung your dirty hockey equipment. Must have been a full garage of equipment.
In the garage, mom would not let that in the house.
You imagine 5 of them too. No wonder she didn't want it in the garage. That's for sure. So, Jana, you're talking about the U of T and your run there, and how special your third year was, being that Cinderella story. Now, are you rooting for our Cinderella team in the finals in the Stanley Cup right now? Do you have a prediction? Do you have somebody you're rooting for?
I don't know. We're Toronto Maple Leaf fans here, so
I know
Just
so you can't. But it'd be nice to see Carey Price and Shea Weber win a cup. But then also in Tampa, we have some close family friends that are on the taxi squad there, so it'd obviously be nice to see them.
Well, that's a tough question for you then. So
I don't really know if I have an answer yet.
Yeah, a Leaf fan trying to say that they're going to cheer for Montreal, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I'd have a hard time with that one too. Actually cheering for the Habs if I was a Leafs fan, that would be tough.
It's not tough, Dom. It's common sense. That'd be like me, a Lions season ticket holder, cheering for the Packers. It just doesn't happen. You can't cheer for Montreal if you're a Leafs fan.
No.
I think you're right. I do think you're right, Bono. But Jana, again, I wanted to thank you as well. It's great to hear from you, and it's just so nice to see that you're doing so well and you've had so much success. And I just want to give you a shout out, just for everything you're doing within the Indigenous community too. I think that's fantastic, and as a young woman as well. So that's amazing. And we're really proud of you here too. So that's again, continued success. Listen, have a couple Moosehead beer when you're out in Fredericton too. I know I've delved into a couple on my day when I was playing there. So enjoy that experience too this upcoming season, and we'll talk to you soon too.
Yeah, for sure.
thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for coming, Jan. I'll let you go. I'll tell you a quick story. Every once in a while, I don't see your dad much anymore because the kids don't play together. There's no football or anything. So every once in a while, in the last few years, I would text your dad because it was always fun to get the answer. I'd always say, "What city are you in?" And I'd wait and he'd come back, but it'd be a different city all the time because he was watching one of the kids play hockey someplace, right? And every once in a while, I'd say, "What city are you in?" And we'd laugh and whatever. But now with the COVID, I text him every once in a while. I say, "Are you still alive?" So that's how things have changed. So let's hope we can get back to regular life, and you get to play hockey, and all your family gets to play hockey, and I can ask your dad what city he's in again, and then we can have a few laughs. So thanks for joining us, Jana. That was awesome. Always good to talk to you. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.